you working for R&H, what makes you decide who you're going to give the rights to? Is it about reinvention? Is it recreation? Is it based on the director? Is it what are the steps you take in that case?
All of the above. Starts with a good idea. If somebody approaches us, I mean, there was a time several years ago where several Broadway producers were approaching us about South Pacific because it had not been revived, and they were going down the list of big titles. And somebody said, we need to do a travel log over the overture to bring the audience back to World War II, because the audience in 1949 had just come out of the war, and no modern audience will accept it unless they're placed back in that time. And I thought, that's a warning signal, because what it means is they don't trust it. And other people were stars. Antonio Banderas, I said, great, do you know how that guy sings? You know, maybe Antonio Banderas not the best idea for this. So there were all these things going on. And then Andre Bishop, and there was a concert at Carnegie Hall, and he came and he said, to remind you, Ted, I've always loved South Pacific, and if you will give us the rights to do it, we will put the creative team that had done The Light in the Piazza on South Pacific. And it was as simple as that, and I thought that had never occurred to me, and that's a brilliant idea. So then in that instance, it was like there were some other things that we all had some concerns about it, and the person who came in and said, love the piece, love it, and these artists who made this piece work, they're the ones we'd like to give this to. It's like, done.
And has it been the same as all through the years that you've worked with R&H, or have you evolved also do you now feel, I mean, would you do a revival of Carousel if they did it exactly the same way it was done originally?
Luckily, there's nobody around who knows exactly how it was done. It's old enough that nobody actually was there. And since Jemsy DeLapp, who was Agnes DeMille's putter-upper, died this year, she really was the person who knew that aspect of those shows more than anybody. It's, you know, I mean, when I got to the office, Yul Brynner was touring in The King and I, you know, a show that the original production said Gertrude Lawrence in The King and I. And by the time it came around, it was Yul Brynner in The King and I. It's like, okay, well, that's a show that can take it both ways. But that was kind of in some ways, a cynical production. It was not a very good production. It was all about him. I mean, Mary Beth Peil, who played Mrs. Anna the last time it came to New York, got a Tony nomination as Best Featured Performer. The role that Gertrude Lawrence had won the Tony as Best Lead. We don't even talk about the Tonys here, but you know, there are those kind of oddities.
Right.